Let's talk about Larry Cohen's Q, The Winged Serpent. Came out in 1982, and this is about a giant bird eating people in New York City. And stars David Carradine and Michael Moriarty, who does a lot of Cohen films like The Stuff and It's Alive 3 in Return to Salem's Lot, I think. And so, yeah, an actor who works with Larry Cohen quite a bit, and an actor I really like, which would bring me into my positives. I think Michael Moriarty in this movie is fantastic. I just love what he brings to the role. I think he's very funny, and the writing of the movie's pretty good. It's got some really good witty dialogue from time to time, and it's got a fun opening kill. It sets the tone. A guy who's cleaning windows on a skyscraper gets his head chewed right off. It's pretty funny, and I like the cast. Michael Moriarty, and you get, like I said, David Carradine in here, who's good as well. And the acting across the board is pretty good. It's solid. No terrible acting here. And I was shocked to see that even Gene Siskel loves this movie. Now, this movie isn't really scary. It's not trying to be scary, but it did scare me because of all the locations that are being used. I have a fear of heights, so every time they were in the Chrysler building, like at the top, looking over the edge, looking down at the street, it was giving me goosebumps. It was very terrifying to look at. The pacing's good for the most part. I feel like it slows down a tiny bit in the second half, a little bit, but not too much. The score I thought was good for the most part, and I like how they throw in that made-up piano song that Michael Moriarty does in the bar. They actually put that song in the soundtrack of the movie at one point. It's kind of funny. And also Candy Clark is in this movie. I forgot to mention that. This is one of her earlier roles. And which would bring me into my dislikes for the movie is I'm not really into her character and her relationship with Michael's character, Quinn. I just feel like it's added drama for drama's sake. I just feel like you could do without it. Focus less on that stuff and more on the bird and the investigation with David Carradine. And also the whole subplot with the mystery killer who's doing these ritual killings and skinning people and taking hearts, all that stuff, I just thought it was weak. Who it ends up being is like a Mrs. Voorhees type thing, right? Because I don't think that character was ever introduced. We find out who's doing these killings, and it's not even that big of a reveal. It's just oh, it's this person who is never introduced. I swear they're never introduced. I could be wrong, but I've seen the movie twice, and I swear this person was never shown before. So it's you got this whole subplot where you're trying to figure out who's doing these killings, who's trying to summon this giant bird, and it ends up being really nobody. I don't know. That whole subplot was just weak, and I didn't like it. It really just was not that exciting, and the budget was pretty low for this movie, so I feel like that hurts it some when you see the special effects that are being done here. A lot of stop motion and claymation and stuff like that, and it just looks really hilarious because it's just so bad, especially in the third act when you get the big showdown between all the cops and the big bird, and it's little robot chicken clay dummies being thrown off of the. It's pretty funny. So, final thoughts. I think this is a well-paced, very ultra-low budget horror comedy creature feature with ultra-low budget effects that are ridiculous looking, but you got a strong cast and some good performances. It's a decent time, but it's not my favorite Cohen film, and I don't think it's highly rewatchable, but I think it's definitely a good one-time watch, so I'll recommend it. And when it comes to Q, the Winged Serpent, I'll just give it 3 out of 5 stars. As for my spoiler discussion, I really don't have much else to add. It's just a lot of people getting picked up by this bird. One by one, you got this guy went washing the window, which would be the worst job ever. I would never have that job. He gets his head ripped off. You got a woman bathing in the sun, topless, so you get some nudity. And then she gets picked up. There's a guy in a pool who's for some reason counting this girl's push-ups. And then he gets picked out of the pool, and then his leg hits the street, and blood stripping on citizens as they're walking to work and stuff, and they're looking up, and no one can see this giant ass bird because it's like killing at a certain hour where when they look up at it, they just see the sun blocking. The sun's hitting their eyes, so they can't see the bird and where it's going. So that's why they can't track where it's going back home to, like where it lives. Only Michael Moriarty knows where it lives. And, he's trying to make a deal with the cops. Like, I'll tell you where the nest is if you give me the book and picture rights and give me immunity and blah, blah, blah. And then they shoot the egg and kill all the babies. But then at the very end, we find out that there's an egg somewhere else. And there's all these killings going on. A dude was skinned alive. And then this dude willingly just lets his heart get ripped out of him while he's alive. Like, we find out that this Aztec god, the bird, it needs blood sacrifices, but willing. Like, you have to, sacrifice yourself willingly. You can't just murder somebody and take their hearts. That person has to give them permission to take their hearts and stuff like that. And so, yeah, then, like, when the killer, the one who's responsible for everything, he gets shot in the head and killed at the end. But then he gets back up for one last scare like it's a Scream movie, but he gets shot like 4 or 5 more times, and he just keeps getting back up. Like, is he just becoming immortal because of what he's doing for Q? I don't know. We get like a kite scare instead of a cat scare. It's just some random kite just comes and smacks the one cop in the face, and then right after that he gets picked up in the air. And they actually do have a practical like bird that they made for the movie. It's just the claws picking him up, and everything else is like stop motion and claymation and stuff like that. And so that's really all there is to say about the movie. I don't know. I have nothing. So Q, what did you think about it? Is it your favorite Larry Cohen film? Is it your least favorite? Mine is The Stuff. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's all an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.